all you need to know. The Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business.
Brought to you by LIC.
Good morning to everyone. I am Hormus Fatakia, here to tell you all that you need to know on the 25th of February. First up, Monetize and Modernize is how Prime Minister Modi described his government's public sector policy. He reiterated that the government has no business being in business and that the new National Asset Monetization Pipeline will unlock investment opportunities worth 2.5 lakh crore rupees for the private sector. The central government also decided on Wednesday to widen the scope for private banks to undertake government businesses. That means private banks can now conduct government-related banking transactions pertaining to taxes and other revenue payment facilities, pension payments, small savings schemes, etc. The impact of the news was evident on the Nifty Bank Index, which ended with gains of nearly 4% or over 1,300 points after trading resumed for an extended 90-minute session post the technical outage on the NSE. By the way, the SEBI has issued a statement last evening asking the National Stock Exchange to analyze the cause for the trading disruption and submit a report. The regulator specifically asked the stock exchange to explain why trading was not moved to the backup site. All trades were halted on the NSE for close to 4 hours due to a technical glitch that the exchange has yet to explain. If there were disruptions in India, there were disruptions in the US as well. For about 4 hours on Wednesday, the Federal Reserve systems that executes millions of financial transactions per day were disrupted by an internal glitch. Systems were restored by the end of the day. Although trading on Wall Street went on normally, the episode was similar to two significant disruptions to the Fed's payment services that occurred in 2019. India's business and consumer activity showed more signs of gathering momentum in January, setting the stage for a rebound from its biggest ever GDP contraction. 2 of the 8 high-frequency indicators tracked by Bloomberg News improved last month, 5 remained steady while 1 deteriorated. Official data, which is to be released tomorrow, is likely to show that India exited a recession in the final 3 months of 2020. Economists in a Bloomberg survey forecasted a GDP expansion of 0.5% year-on-year. Axis Securities along with IIFL Securities have emerged as the successful bidders for Karvi's broking and demat accounts. Axis Securities will acquire the accounts held by Karvi with the BSE, NSE and the Metropolitan Stock Exchange. This will boost its total client base from 2.5 million to 3.6 million. IIFL Securities will acquire the accounts held by Karvi with CDSL and NSDL. The brokerage's stock ended with gains of 20%, its biggest one-day jump since listing. Karvi in November 2019 was barred by SEBI from signing up new customers on charges that it unauthorizedly pledged client shares to raise funds for proprietary use. Suzuki Motor Corp wants its India unit, Maruti Suzuki, to maintain market share of over 50% in the passenger car segment in India and take the initiative to promote electrification. The India automaker intends to introduce electric vehicles in the country, increase the number of rural small sales outlets, strengthen its SUV segment, and promote CNG cars to boost its product lineup. Also, Suzuki's 91-year-old chairman Osamu Suzuki will step down after over 4 decades at the helm. Suzuki will step down from his post after his tenure ends in June this year. Renew Power, India's biggest renewable power producer, has agreed to merge with blank check company RMG Acquisition Corporation 2. The deal will give Renew an enterprise valuation of $8 billion and list it on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. It's part of the unprecedented surge in American listings by special purpose acquisition companies or SPACs that has continued this year. Home and healthcare and wellness product provider Nureka Limited will be listing on the bourses today. The 100 crore IPO was subscribed over 40 times. The portions for institutional investors was subscribed over 3 times, while that for retail investors was subscribed 166 times. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell reiterated that the US economy still has a long way to go in terms of recovery and that signs of prices rising will not necessarily lead to persistently high inflation. Powell told the House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday that inflation is a process that repeats itself year over year rather than a one-time surge. US equities post Powell's remarks reversed losses and ended with strong gains. And with that, I head over to Neeraj Shah for the trade setup of the day. Good morning, Neeraj. The extended trading session did wonders for the markets on Wednesday. Is the momentum likely to continue on expiry day as well?
Well, firstly, thanks, Hormus. And a globe is benign, so yes, the momentum could continue. The CBOE VIX had a sharp drawdown overnight, and that should act as a positive too for trade sentiment. Asia started off well. The SGX Nifty showing some positive intent at the start. It's dancing around in a range, but above 15,050 odd seems to be a near certainty. Though a lot could happen between when you are hearing this podcast and when the markets start at 9 a.m. India time or 9:15 a.m. India time. But there seems to be some optimism. The pickle for today is that while there was exuberance on the large cap side yesterday, large cap banking side yesterday, it may not necessarily last today. What may happen is that the large cap banking pack may trade sideways, which may impact the overall bullish sentiment emanating from the global markets, because you need banks and large private banks to do well for the markets to edge significantly higher. I was talking about the quant indicator yesterday and the possibilities of a bounce, but no one quite knew that the FM comment would be the catalyst. Having said all of that, as I said, the world markets are benign, and thus the trend at least is not downwards for the very short term, which is the expiry day. Now, why I speak about banking trading sideways is because, having scanned multiple opinions, I can safely tell you that what will be in focus today will be not the large private banks, but the smaller private banks, and individually an IndusInd Bank. Multiple notes say this, but I quote a Jeffries note which observes that if 10% higher current deposits replace the term deposits for the bank, it can drive a 3% upside to FY22 PBT. So there are specifics as to why IndusInd Bank or a Kotak or some of the other smaller private banks could do well. Not necessarily the same for an HDFC or ICICI for that matter. But the sentiment is bullish, and therefore all of this augurs well in the long term for private banks, and therefore the optimism may continue, but I still believe it will be sideways. Watch out for those. Watch out for as I said, the other small private banks. And the other focus area, I think, could well be the PSUs after Prime Minister Modi's comments. Nothing too concrete, nothing near term. And I don't think that this is a trading play, because the time taken to the eventual decision making for the divestment may be many weeks or months away, and thus a leverage trade could fizzle out very, very quickly. So people need to be mindful of that. But the positive intent shows. Net, we may end the February expiry today on a positive note and with over 1,000-point gain in the series, which is not a bad outcome at all. Sets us up well for the March performance. For now though, wishing all a safe trading day and hoping no more mishaps on the exchanges side. Stay safe, everybody. Please wear your masks. And thanks for tuning into this podcast.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you could listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.
Brought to you by LIC.